Hello, welcome to the show. My name is Jonathan, and today we're going to be talking about 10 things you must know if you're going to become a writer. So number 10, you must prepare to write every day. So whether it be 100 words, 600 words, or even 1,000 words, you must set a goal for yourself every single day to write. My goals are typically set from between 600 to 1,000 words a day. I don't always meet that goal, but I always try to at least write something in the project that I'm working on. And before you know it, you're going to be pretty far along. For this next point, you don't need much to start. Whether it be the old pen and paper, whether it be an old laptop or a new laptop, it doesn't matter. You can start today. Now, I do everything on a Mac, and I use Scrivener as my software of choice for writing. But that's not necessary. Like, you can write on literally anything you can think of. If you're like me, you start with an outline and plot all the way till the end. And if you're a pantser, you just start right away. The thing is, there's nothing stopping you from becoming a writer right now. Your writing has the value you give it. There's nothing wrong with calling yourself a writer when the last thing it was that you wrote was 2 months ago. However, by that same token, it's also evident how much you value writing by that length of time. Don't blame writer's block or some sort of mental barrier for your lack of writing, because there's only one way to beat writer's block or other mental barriers, and that's by, writing. This next point is don't worry about voice. Voice is essentially your writing style. For example, a typical length of your sentences, of paragraphs, and language. This will come with time, and it's a really good idea to read as you write, but I'll get a little bit more in depth into that point later. Don't be an asshole. So if you act like an idiot, you will be treated like so. Now, the worst thing that can happen to you, the aspiring writer with dreams and goals that need achieving, is to act like an to your editor, to your fans, to other people. Just that self-entitled air is the quickest way to get people to ignore you, to get them to close your book and put it down and never pick it up again. So that is really a big tip, is don't be an asshole. Don't be entitled in a way that closes people up. The worst thing your work can be is boring. Now, this is a tough one, and even I wrestle with trying to keep the content in my novels interesting and engaging, but the whole point is to be unique, to be different. It's fine if you're passionate about a werewolf vampire triangle love story or a dystopian youth angst story, but if it isn't unique in some way, then you're just shooting yourself in the foot. So many amateur writers fall into this pit of copying not only literary elements but also plot points from other more successful young adult novels. I promise you, none of the books that are written copying other literary elements and plot points specifically are ever going to be successful, because they've already been done before, and by much better authors. I'm not going to say much better, it's just their bank accounts don't lie, and yours does. So be unique. That's the whole point, is just be unique. Be different. Don't be afraid of changing things up in a brand new way. Now, the next point that kind of ties into this is don't lie. So what I mean by that is to tell the truth, to be in depth with your writing. Part of being boring is being bland, and that also comes along with not telling the truth exactly the way it is. And I know this is kind of a personal preference, but for example, if someone is getting murdered, I want to describe this scene in detail, as much detail as I can. If there's a sex scene, I want to be as in detail as I can. I would prefer to make my readers think or be uncomfortable. I want them to get out of the typical, bubble that they live in and make them experience something completely different and something completely new. You can't do that if you're very safe in your writing, that you don't ever show a gruesome scene, if you don't ever just show the truth in that way. Now, I know it really also depends on the kind of writer you are. If you're writing for children's stories, I don't expect that, even though there are some children's stories that are very graphic, which I commend those writers for being. But I believe that you should tell the truth in every circumstance. And I know this is kind of what separates me from a lot of other writers who would consider my work to be distasteful, considering some of the content that I write. But that's just the way I write, and I recommend other people to do so. You're not writing for a paycheck. At least I hope you're not, because if you're writing to get a paycheck, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Trust me. I'm writing to entertain. I'm writing to show people a different side of a story that maybe they've never seen before. And I think your goal should be very similar to that. For this next point, everything can be fixed in post. Don't worry about getting your writing to be top notch on the first draft, because it's not going to be. Your goal at first should just be to get this damn thing written. I promise you, focusing on side plots and little details will be much easier once the whole thing is finished. You're like a painter looking at the full picture once it's done, and then you can fix the little mistakes. Fortunately, fixing mistakes in writing is a lot easier than fixing mistakes in, well, once you see the whole picture, it'll be infinitely easier to change things and realize what you could change and just hit the mic there. What you can change and what you don't need to, stuff like that. The opposite of this is tampering and trying to fix elements before the story is done. And the result is you continuing to fix and tamper and, of a story that no one will ever read because it'll never be finished. I've never heard of an author who wrote a book that fixed plot elements as he or she came across them. That's not really what you hear, because I really find it hard to believe that a book like that could ever be published. So your goal should be to write first everything all the way through. And yeah, it's going to suck and it's going to look terrible, but that's not the point. You're not publishing right then. You're going to publish after, once you've gone back and edited and re-edited, and that's the whole point. You want to finish the story, finish writing it, and then start working on the other plot points and elements and things like that. No story is perfect, and this is the flawed beauty of writing. Learn to let go of those little details and finish what you start. Now, this next point is read as you write, and I almost made this my first point because of how important it is. What I recommend that you should do is pick a few authors that you really like and read their works. When you read an author that you like, pay attention to their voice. Pay attention to how long their paragraphs are, how many sentences are in them. What kind of descriptors does the author use? You're not trying to copy their prose exactly, but you want to get inspired and learn how to use those descriptors even better. Before too long, you will see your writing improve as you emulate, and that's the key word here, is emulate. And so that's why it's very important to read as you write, because as you read, it improves your writing. It improves your style of writing. And that's not just to say authors that you idolize. You can also go to other authors that you've never even heard of, but are interested in the subject matter. Or maybe you've heard that this certain person uses extremely amazing descriptors or for X reason. But the point is, you have to be reading as you're writing, and that'll help you become a better writer. And for this last point, nobody knows jack about shit. There's advice that works for you, and then there is advice that doesn't. Maybe nothing in this list helps you become a better writer or prepares you to be a writer. And maybe only a few points do. The idea is that you do get something out of this list. And I myself don't know everything about writing. Yeah, I know. I'm still figuring out this whole writing thing, and I may never really know everything that there is to know, but I hope I don't, because that means that I'm improving and growing as a writer, and that's a place that you always want to be. As long as you're in a place where you want to learn and grow, despite setbacks, despite doubts, that's the best place that you want to be, is just willing to grow and willing to become better at the craft that you're choosing. Alright, well, I hope that this list has been helpful for you in some way, and if it has, leave a like, maybe subscribe. There are videos that I make every single week that have to do with writing. Sometimes I talk about my book, which, by the way, if you didn't know, I'm an author of Nights Without Kings, which is a book that you can purchase on Amazon via Kindle or paperback. It is a dark fantasy, so kind of realistic and just, I guess, dark in a way. And sometimes I talk about that, and sometimes I give other advice. I do collab videos as well. So if that's something that you're interested as a writer or as whatever, I guess, feel free to subscribe and like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram, which will be also in the links down below. But okay, that's it for this week, and I will see you guys in the next time, okay? And y'all be safe out there. It's pretty crazy out there. A lot of people doing dumb things and evil things too. Just don't be one of those people, and just try to be safe out there, okay? And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.